everyone, today we're taking a look at the NewBeeDrone AcroBee 75 HD. This of course has the DJI O3, which means you'll need to have either the goggles 2 or version 2 of the original DJI goggles, the black ones that look like Ant-Man. But I believe if you want to record the OSD, you need the goggles too, like I have here. It weighs just under 70 grams. The recommended battery is the Tattoo R-Line 550, and it is a 2S battery. And with that battery, it comes in just a touch over 101 grams, which they say it should be under 100 grams. Maybe my scale is off, or maybe their scale is off. And motor post to motor post, it comes in at 75 millimeters, which does make it one of the smallest, if not the smallest, CineMatic DJI O3 base quads. The motors are the NewBeeDrone Flow motors. They're 0804s, and they are 12,000 kV with dual ball bearings. And on those motors are 40 millimeter tri-bladed AZ props, or AZ. I'm not sure how you say it. They're NewBeeDrone props. And down below that carbon fiber bracing plate, which is unique to the NewBeeDrone model, is an all-in-one flight controller, and it is an F7 STM32 F745. It does come flash with Blue Jay, and it is running 48 kilohertz on the motor PWM. XT30 for your battery connection. This TPU mount, this is specifically for the Tattoo R-Line 550 2S battery, and it is really tough to get in and out of there. It takes me minutes to get a single battery change. They also include one of those cheapo depot sort of Velcro ties. You can use that instead. It does come with an extra set of props, which were in this bag. Comes with a single sheet, dual-sided little quick start sort of guide, I guess. It does come with a gentle reminder telling you that the Express LRS that is on this board is version 3, so your radio needs to be on version 3 as well. It does come with 2 extra O3 mounts, which I broke them both just trying to get the O3 mounted. It's not really designed to go with a naked or decased O3, but you could probably do it, but it's going to take a fair bit of DIY sort of ugliness, like zip ties and things like that. Okay, we're going to start off with the inside flight. Inside is probably where you're primarily going to be using this. And due to the motor size and the KV, you see that in kind of a slow, cinematic sort of style, the throttle value in the top left-hand corner of the Betaflight OSD, we're hovering around 50%. There's not a lot of thrust left to do anything else. So if you want to fly faster or more aggressively, it's probably not going to be the kind of quad that you're looking for. I did, as I mentioned in the quick spec, I broke both of the mounts for the VTX and camera, just trying to get the VTX installed. It is very tight. I broke them in my hands. You know, it's not my first day working with micros. I can be fairly dainty, and I tried and tried and tried, and as I got deeper into it, you know, 15 or so minutes, the first one broke, and then probably 8 or 9 minutes later, the second one broke. So I'm like, oh, geez, you know, I'm almost done with this review now. I broke both of the mounts, and I only have one left, so after that, I guess I'm done. Thankfully, I was able to get the final mount and the VTX mounted, married up together. It is something that, if you really want this sort of quad and this sort of package, and it's worth the money to you, I would just order it with the O3 already inside of it. I just, for me, that frustration and the risk that I might break one of the mounts that is included with the kit, just trying to do it myself and put that on the company, so if their staff assembles and breaks, then they have to go to their supplies and get another mount and just try again until they get it right. Of course, if you break it in flight, then you have to change out to one of your spares. So showing our sad little Christmas tree. It's got those integrated lights, and I noticed one night when I was cooking, the top part went out. And then a few days later, I came home from, I don't know, dance, cello, somewhere with the kids, and the middle section went out. So I'm going to have to investigate why those lights are going out. I know I don't typically go upstairs, but I just thought because of the flight that we're going to see, and we're not going to see any aerobatic or faster, more aggressive flight with this one, because it's just not what this one is not only designed to do, but it's going to be a terrible struggle to try to do anything else, because you're going to be flying at probably 75 to 85% throttle, and then you only have that slight 10 to 15% you can bump the throttle when you're flying aggressively. So it would definitely result in a lot of crashes. So we're touring the top level of the house with the doors open. I didn't plan on going up here, obviously, otherwise I would have turned on some lights. But it gives you an idea of what sort of lighting scenario, if you are doing a real estate fly-through or you're flying in your own home and you run into different lighting scenarios in your home, what you can expect the DJI O3 to pick up. Flyable, but not great if there's not much light. And the transition with the O3 isn't great either. So if you go from light to dark or dark to light, it can take a minute to adjust. This flight does go on here for another 45 seconds or so. We'll stick through it. I do have an outside flight just this morning. Finally, just this morning before I went to work, I was able to find a day that had the winds down pretty low, because that's another scenario I know people are going to ask about is, can you fly this outside? Certainly, but with this size of package and this form factor, you're going to want the winds to be as low as possible outside. It's really tailored for inside sort of cinematic sort of flying. And it doesn't have to necessarily be for filming. Maybe you're just a casual flyer that you like to just kind of cruise around your house, or maybe you have you work in a warehouse or some large industrial building where they allow you to fly, and you get on your lunch break or whatever break, you can go out and do a bit of flying on your own. And this is the sort of flight that you like, just to kind of see everything and slow down and explore. Okay, the flight is going to wrap up here. You notice the battery there at the very, very end did drop off pretty quickly, something to be aware of with these batteries, and I did fly just a touch long, so 3 minutes and 50 seconds I think would be our flight time. So this is the best scenario that I could come up with from my location. It's an early morning flight, not terrible early, about 8:15. I was just getting ready to head to work, check the weather information. It said 6-mile-an-hour winds. Of course, we're in town. We're not well exposed like how they measure the weather or the wind. It is almost 50 degrees. Again, with plastic frames, whether it's this frame or any other frames, if you're flying them outside and it's around 40 or less than 40, if you bump into something, you're very likely to break the plastic. I've run into that many times, and it doesn't matter what sort of whoop, unless you get into something that's much larger. So let's say, this sort of plastic material we do see on a fair number of 85 millimeter and on down. When that stuff gets cold and brittle, it does break. Now, some of the newer CineMatic sort of 2-inch CineMatic quads that we have been seeing recently, I have not flown those in the cold enough to know if they have that same sort of brittle temperature threshold. So just a warning there. I don't want you to go outside and fly in the snow and at 36 degrees, and then you're doing some sort of fancy maneuvers, and then you hit something that's not movable and you break your frame. That would be normal. Carbon fiber is going to hold up to it a way better, which this does have that carbon fiber bracing, which probably does help with the stability of the flight. But when it comes to outside, cold is not a whoop or plastic friendly. But this isn't ideal testing, because normally you would want the sun to be very high in the sky and you'd want full sun. I just don't have that. Not this time of year. The sun, it's December. The sun never gets to that kind of overhead position that you get during the warmer months right now. So that's kind of a limit of our time frame when it comes to testing in jello, because one of those things they tout a lot on the NewBeeDrone website is no jello, no jello. So I wanted to give it an honest go as far as outside flight, just to test that. It does look smooth to me, but as always leave it up to you. Let's go ahead and move forward in the flight so you can kind of see the end and the flight time as I fly outside. You can see we're getting a low battery warning, and our battery went from 3.47 to 3.4, now 3.38, fairly fast. So these Tattoo R lines, once they get down just to about that 3.43, 3.45, well, you got to hustle home, because again, flight time came in at 3 minutes and 55 seconds, or 52 seconds, excuse me, and our battery did recover up to 3.56 volts per cell, so in good shape still. And this is just a sample in winds, because I thought this might be the best I got, which was 16-mile-an-hour winds on average. But we had gusts up to 35 miles an hour, and I noticed on this day on my walk across the parking lot as I was coming home for lunch that the winds would actually feel calm, and I kind of work on the outskirts of town, so we're exposed to more weather out there at my job. So I noticed that on my walk that it was relatively calm, and then when I was driving, I could feel it blowing my car around as those winds, those gusts really kicked up, but the gusts didn't last very long. And there were a number of minutes between those gusts, so I thought this might be the only decent opportunity I get. It is a little bit sunnier out, but you can definitely see where those winds do kind of have an effect on the stability of the quad. It's trying as it might to keep it nice, smooth, and flat, and certain sections of this are going to be better than others. Part of that is wind. I also think that it doesn't descend very well. Its descent tends to wobble a little bit there. I think that is just part of how this quad flies with its particular weight and PID tune and prop size on it. But it could be wind contributing to that as well. The only way to test it would be to eliminate the wind, which really we can only do inside. You could compare it to the other outside flight that I did where the winds were much calmer, and that might give you some sort of measured metric there as well to see if it was wind impact or if it's just part of its descent. But I wanted to show you this because it was one other flying opportunity that I had with the quad that I thought was reasonable. Plus, if you actually want to try to fly it on a particular day and you say, well, I don't commonly get winds under 10 miles an hour, you'll have a better idea of how it will fly outside in these sorts of conditions. So when you get your kit, if you choose to buy the kit, otherwise, it'll come on your own or altogether assembled. I think that's an option on their website. Let me double check that. Yeah, you can definitely buy it with the O3 and everything right there. So these antennas did not come with the kit that they sent me, and they're from the Beta FPV kit, which their kit does come with antennas. So I think that's something that they need to change if they're going to sell it without the O3. But they're not long enough to where I could really get them in these little notches back here. So if they're not going to provide us with antennas, then that's something you've got to be aware of. I don't have a problem with this. They're so short that I don't think they're going to actually get damaged, especially in slow, smooth, sort of cinematic sort of flight style. Something else that they tout is the Express LRS, the diversity, which I don't know if this is even necessary because Express LRS has worked so well for me during its time. But we have 2 receivers antennas here, and that gives you presumably the best potential range in a package this size. So you've got an antenna mounted right up front here that I'm trying to toy with back into its slots. And then you've got a little antenna out back here. I believe those are diversity antennas. I could be wrong on that and have to cut this all out, but they tout that a lot on their website. I don't know how purposeful or how useful that might be, but if it's something you're looking for, they say it has it. So my strongest complaints is how difficult it was for me to get the VTX mounted within this bracket. Like I said, I broke 2 of them. This one broke right here at the corner, 3 different points. And I broke this one, and this was just mounting. This wasn't even flying around. So all the flights I did were on this one. It's not damaged. I didn't have any crashes that caused damage or anything like that. But that's one of my big complaints there. And it's secured down with just some small screws. So when you go with a lightweight package, you can't use a big bulky screw. Now, if you compare these to the others that I have out here, this is from the Pavo Pico. Let's size things up. This is from the NewBeeDrone AcroBee. This is from the Pavo Pico, which is a larger. It's running 45 millimeter props, and this is from the Mobila 8, which is running 2-inch props. You can see how much more substantial this one is, and quite honestly, it seems like this one is more substantial, except for in this fashion, where it kind of grabs the O3. This thing it's just, yeah, I don't want to hit it too hard, but I think you're going to want to be very careful if you're mounting your own. Otherwise, if you're wanting this package, get it with the O3 already, and then at the very least, you can be spared on breaking one, at least the first one, on your own when trying to mount it. So another thing that they talk a lot on their website is about the dual ball bearing motors. I'll leave that to you whether that matters or not. For so long, we've been flying basically this size of motor without ball bearings. And yeah, the bushings do wear down over time. Some people like to oil their micro motors. Some people don't. I just run them and run them and run them. But I fly a lot of analog. So it's going to matter more in a 4K package like this. The carbon fiber bracing is probably a critical element within the whole stability of this particular package. We'll see, because I suspect this is going to be the next round of iterations that we're going to see all companies come with. I have it on good authority that at least one more in this size is coming down the pipe, if not multiples. So we'll see this in the future with other products as well. They put foam pads here on the bottom, so like in my case with the hardwood floors, if you come down and you land, you're not landing on your motor mounting screws, you're landing on the foam mount, so that spares you some scratches. And if you have a partner, then maybe it spares you a little bit of headache in validating your flying inside as well. Also, shout out to Dax Neal, Quad Sensei. I think he was probably one of the first, if not the first, to take a DJI O3 and slap it on a 75mm format. He's got a website where he sells his STL files. I think he sells this stuff. I'm sure he does. He's got to pay for the website somehow. I did look last night when I was looking at his site. He doesn't have any builds for sale. Maybe that's a special order sort of thing. But if you wanted to build build your own and you didn't want to use NewBeeDrone's kit, you might check out quadsensei.com. Dax Neal, I think, did the first one on his YouTube channel about 11 months ago, so props to him. But NewBeeDrone, I think one of the things that draws some people to NewBeeDrone is the fact that it's a US-based company, and they do have more of a focus on customer support than do some of our other Far East companies. They do warranty the frame, so if you break the frame, you can get one of those free of charge. I'm not sure how that is handled, whether you just send them a picture and they send you a new frame, or if you have to send in the frame, you know, throw it in an envelope and spend $1, whatever the stamp costs are to get it to them. But it's one of the few companies, especially in the micro arena, that actually offers some support as well as warranty on their frame products. Of course, many things that we have a warranty, and then it turns out, you know, how do you get that warranty put into effect, and how do you redeem the warranty, so to speak? But NewBeeDrone is probably one of the biggest things that NewBeeDrone did way early on was they were, I believe, the starter of the flat cell 1S batteries. So they have that to tout as well, because I'm very thankful their NewBeeDrone Nitro Nectars were always around, because those were always top-end batteries. Of course, now we have other manufacturers that are also doing those flat cell 1S batteries too. So, but kudos to them for offering a warranty as well as those batteries. And if you are interested in the NewBeeDrone AcroBee 75 HD, I'll have a link down in the video description. If you have the DJI controller 2, I believe you want the plug-and-play version. That is for the DJI, because the 03 acts as the receiver for the controller, the DJI controller as well. But I'm not certain if that works with the large black square DJI controller, the one that I have, or if it's just the little gray gamepad style one. I'm not sure about that. Hopefully you know, or some of our friends that are watching the video know and can tell us down in the comment section below. But if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise about the NewBeeDrone AcroBee 75 Pro, please let me know. It's not Pro, it's HD. Down in the comment section below. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.